Come Saturday tea time, West Ham United embark on a new era. We've had 4.5 years of David Moyes at the helm. We all acknowledged a change was needed, and that's what we've got. And it's come in the form of Julian Lopetegui, who has taken over and alongside Tim Steidten has brought a busy summer of transfer business for West Ham. And our first port of call is at home. We stay in London until November, and we play Aston Villa at home for our season opener. I'm delighted to get the Villa insight. We've got Luke from the At the Villa podcast. Luke, thank you for joining me. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Great to be back on your channel.
Thank you very much for coming on. Right, let's talk a bit about Villa then. So, fourth last season, Unai Emery. There was about a 2-week period, I remember. When was it? November, December time. You beat Arsenal, Man City in the space of a week, and you were thinking, let's go for the title. And I was like, why not? I love it. I love it. Of course, that didn't quite materialise in the end, but you finished fourth. You were heading into a season with Champions League football. And how are you boys feeling about it?
Yeah, buzzing, like really excited. I think sort of all of the hard work from last season, we'll get to see the rewards of it in the Champions League. I think the league is going to be difficult. We know how difficult the league is. It's difficult every single season. But I think that sort of Champions League, just adding that little bit of sparkle to the season, just makes it all the more exciting and new. Format in the Champions League, which makes it, again, even more exciting. It's a little bit different. A lot of unknowns for the teams that are in it season on, season out. So I think it might give Villa a bit of a different sort of opportunity to progress a little bit further. So I think as a fan, you go into every season with excitement. You know, this is the part where you get to dream, really. You get to dream of where you want to be. And sort of as soon as that ball gets kicked 10 games in, you'll sort of see a pattern of probably where you're going to end up. So, yeah, it's exciting.
It certainly is. See you joining us in the chat. Good evening to everyone. Don't say hi to me, Dad. Just say hi to Luke. That's fine. That's fine. Phil, thanks for joining us. I hope you had a new season upon us already. I know. I had a lovely break, and all of a sudden, flipping out, we're halfway through August, and here is the season once again. Sharky, I hope you are keeping well. Let's talk about West Ham for a little bit. We'll come back to Villa. This interests me. I always like, and I think you do the same thing, is to get the insight about our club from somebody looking in. Now, this has been interesting about West Ham over the last couple of years of Moyes and all the rest of it. But we're now turning the page. It's a new chapter. You on Saturday are going to learn at the same time as us what it's going to be like. So that's a bit of an enthralling part of it. But what are you expecting coming to the London Stadium on Saturday? Because you can probably answer that question just as much as I can.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult game. I think, for West Ham, we're a good team. So it's going to be really, really difficult. I think it's sort of like Lopetegui's going to find out pretty quickly what his players are like on a intense game, 90-minute plus minute game of football, really. So he's going to learn a lot, I think, Lopetegui. And I think it's probably going to take like 4, 5, 6 games for him to understand what works, what doesn't work. For the fans, you fans probably learning what his substitutions are like. Is he proactive? Is he bringing them on at a certain time? Will he make those tactical decisions during a game? So I think what I will say is that we've sort of kind of been where you are a little bit, in the sense of, you had success under your previous manager. You won a European trophy. And I think from the outset, if you ask fans that aren't Villa and West Ham, they'll say it's a tin pot trophy, it's rubbish, it means nothing. But when you're in that competition, you realise that it actually does mean something. So, to win any type of trophy is absolutely massive in football. So you have had that success that's led into this new appointment under Lopetegui. But I think Villa were the same, really. We'd got Dean Smith. We were comfortable in the Premier League, but we needed to go up to that level. We needed to make that call of that manager who can sort of transform the football club to probably what the fans believe in. And we appointed Gerrard. That didn't go so well. But then we get in Unai Emery. And what I'd say about Unai Emery is, for me, he's the best manager I've ever seen at Villa. But not only just because he gets the results, but the brand of football, the way behind the scenes, he's been able to work with Monchi, our sporting director. We've been able to have a recruitment strategy, and we've just become this club that I want us to be. And I think you guys are probably in the early stages of what we've been through, and I think it's really exciting. And I think, you know, I don't think you haven't really sacked Moyes because of a success sort of thing. It's the bigger picture of probably the brand of West Ham, the appeal of watching good football, and I think coming with that, you know, getting an elite coach does bring a sense of like just a different mentality, and I think hopefully you guys are going to be able to get that with Lopetegui.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the point there is it's that step to the elite manager. Now, we tried that after Moyes the first time. We put a Pellegrini in, it was an absolute shambles. And then we went back to Moyes. So we're getting people to say, blah, 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 you'll be 15th at Christmas and all the rest of it, and you should have stuck with Moyes, and that will come. If we're sat in the bottom half after 6 games, we'll go, we told you so. But at the end of the day, Lopetegui isn't quite the caliber of manager. When you appointed Unai Emery, I was like, they will succeed. Emery's a winner, and he is an elite level manager. Now, Lopetegui's had those jobs, but he doesn't give the same impression as when you say Emery, you go, brilliant manager. Lopetegui hasn't quite got that initial impression, and he's brought in a lot of players, and he's going to learn on the job as well. But if we talk about it, he's brought in 8 players, and he's obviously worked with our sporting director or technical director Tim Steiden to get these players in. So he's had the final say on them. So pretty much effectively, if he wants, he's got a brand new starting 11 nearly. He's got the majority. He's got 3/4 of a new back line. He can have a new midfield if he likes, and we don't really need a new front 3 with Bowen and Kudus and Paqueta there as it is. But we've still brought in reinforcements if needed. So he will get criticism if things don't go to plan early, because a lot of those players are his. But we've got to be patient. Patience isn't a thing that's often utilised in football, modern day football, and I think to succeed, you've got to go through those periods, and it's paid off for Villa. Absolutely, you've had those dark times, and you've come out of it. And I hope throughout this season you can stick and persevere with. It's a grueling schedule, and you've experienced that with the Conference League last year. And of course, it's a major step up to the Champions League. How are you faring in terms of squad depth? And as you get into, Villa, as you get into the Januaries and the Februaries when Europe returns again, if you get that far, it is hard on your squad, as you well know. And how well adapted do you think Emery is to getting over the line in that sense?
I think that's probably been our strongest point in this window about making our squad stronger. I think as football fans, we get so fixated on the first 11. Everybody just wants to pick the first 11, but there's more to that now, and we saw that at sort of like the Euros with the depth of player that you can go deep into your squad and bring on that quality. And I think last season it gets overlooked at how many injuries we had, and it was remarkable that we got top 4. We had Emi Buendia, before a ball was kicked, did his ACL. We'd got Tyrone Mings, Newcastle, first game of the season, same injury, out all season. We'd got Jacob Ramsey, out all season. I think he played about 10 games. Then we have Kamara that goes out at January. So these are big players for Villa, and we was able to sort of make it to the top 4. But that we had that problem of the depth of our squad, and what we've been able to do in this window is bring in players like Onana, Barkley, Maatsen. We've got some really nice young wingers that have come in as well. We've got depth with a couple of midfielders. So our squad is quite stacked now of quality. And I think hopefully, if we did get some injuries, we'd probably be okay this season. So I think it's pretty decent, to be fair. I think the squad's quite good.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's take some comments. Sharky, thank you for gifting a membership. I don't know who it is. I can't see who it's to, but thank you very much indeed for that. Andy, I hope you are well. Hard to say what our best 11 is. I've got no idea what's going to come out at 4:30 on Saturday. I genuinely couldn't tell you. If I got it right, it would be more luck than judgment. You know, there's players that you expect to start. Jared Bowen, of course, he's been announced as the club captain today. You know, there's players, him, Alvarez, Areola. I don't know in terms of the back line. I mean, Lopetegui did his presser today and kept things rather close to his chest. He was asked about Wan-Bissaka and he said he's been training with Man United quite rigorously, so he's okay, but he didn't, say whether he's going to start or not. So it could be him, it could be Soufal. There's endless questions to what starting 11, and I'm actually really refreshingly looking forward to seeing that starting 11 on Saturday, to see what he goes with and how he changes it as we progress through the game. Let's talk a bit about your signings, because you mentioned a couple of names there which sprung a few things back to mind. Onana is the one that came to mind. I was on holiday and I saw it on the telly and went, Onana's gone to Villa, 50 million. And I went, he looked good in patches at Everton. I'm going to say that he looked really commanding. We Everton just bought him and we were sort of trying to get him at the same time, and Everton bought him. And in games, he looked brilliant. And in games, he just lacked a little bit. What was your thoughts? Obviously, is he a Douglas Luiz replacement? I'm going to suggest. I don't know. But Onana, do you think you've overpaid in the market? Are you excited to see him come on the midfield for Villa?
Yeah, I think if I look at some of the things that I don't think we were good at last season, aerially, we were absolutely awful all over the pitch. We were conceding goals from corners, we weren't scoring from them. We were being dominated in midfield. So I think for me, he was the perfect profile. He's well over like 6'3". He covers a lot of ground. And I think the big thing that Emery does at Villa is he improves players. So I think, look, right, what you were saying, he's had sort of like, plaudits, and then he gets negative comments, and Everton fans, some of them were happy to see him go. But, that's not the player that we're going to have. We're going to have the Unai Emery version of him that's going to be coached. And I think he'll probably play in that sort of like deeper double pivot position. But I think as Kamara comes back, he's probably going to go a little bit further forward. So I've always felt that he's a player that can develop, and I think I've seen potential in him, and I think that's probably what Emery's going to unlock.
Yeah, I think he'll turn into a real good player. That I'm going to ignorantly suggest that going from Sean Dyche to Unai Emery is going to be a little bit of a shift and change in in the player himself, and that's nothing against Sean Dyche. I love the fella, but but at the end of the day, when you go to a manager like Unai Emery, and it'll be exciting to see, as you say, I like the word unlock. What's he gonna get of Onana? Because we've seen little bits at Everton, and yeah, you're right. I mean, we know some Everton fans, and some of them were like, yeah, out the door, goodbye. And it'll be interesting to see what he turns into at Villa. Bigade, hope you are well. Forgot about Mings. Do you know what? So did I. He was out for the entirety of last season. I forgot about Mings, and he was such a mainstay in there over the last few years, and you had to adapt, and you had to bring in players as well. And to be fair, with the injuries you've had, lots of teams had injuries last season, so it was probably overlooked slightly. But for where you finished and those injuries you listed, it was quite remarkable how you did it, on top of getting quite deep in the Conference League as well. People forget that. It's a hell of a lot of games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's loads. I mean, it's grueling as well. And I mean, in the Conference League, we played some good teams in there. Sides that had like been in the Champions League. Like we played like Lille, Ajax. Those are top level teams. So we were lost to Olympiacos in the semi-final, but they started in the Champions League. They didn't get in the Champions League. They played the qualifier. They went through all the group stage of the Europa League. Then they went into the Conference League. So
that's what's ridiculous about it. I'm glad they've scrapped that.
I hate it. I do. I think if you can't get out your group in your European competition, then you should be out of it. Really, second chances are like ridiculous. So I think it's grueling and it's tough, but yeah, you just need to have the squad to adapt to it.
Absolutely. James, thank you for joining us. I read Happy New Year to start with. Happy New Season. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, you can have a look on the channel. We went to the DT38 Awareness Golf Day on Tuesday. Of course, former West Ham centre-half James Collins was there amongst others, and I did call him Ginge, which a couple of others found mildly amusing to begin with. But Onana will look better at Villa, I think he will, and be interested to see the progression throughout the season. But overall, give us an idea about the way you expect Villa to sort of come and dictate play, because we don't know. We could be similar to Moyes. We could have a go. I've genuinely not got a clue, but just give us a bit of an idea of how you'd expect Unai Emery to turn up and treat this game, and will it be a little bit apprehensive to start with, or can you expect Villa to have a go from the off?
I don't think we'll have a go from the off. I think our basic patterns of play are to control the game. So it will be Villa on the ball, trying to knock it round. You'll probably see Emi Martinez with the ball trapped on the 18-yard box D, waiting for you guys to come at us and come and press us. If you don't come and press us, he'll just keep the ball and he'll just wait for you to come. If you don't come, he'll just literally wait there. So that's generally what we try and do. We try and get you guys to come and press, and then we'll sort of move it into our patterns of play. So we'll obviously try and, nullify the crowd, because I think, first game for Lopetegui, it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy, you're going to be excited. So I think for Villa, it's a sense of like calming the whole thing down, really, and just trying to get into our pattern of play. And I think as the game goes on, you might see us just open it up a little bit more, really. So I think that's how I'll probably see the start going, unless you guys come at us like a steam train and it's like 100 mile an hour and we've got to chill out a bit. But yeah, it's like you say, it's first game of the season. Like it's they're sometimes just a bit mad, aren't they? Like, it might be really boring. It might be the most boringest game you've ever watched, because it's just cagey. And so I think it's just that unknown, isn't it, really, of what's going to happen. I mean, last season we lost our first game 5-1, which was just ridiculous. So, can't go much worse than that, can it? I don't think so.
We'll settle for 4-1, all right? Should we deal with that?
Yeah, well, yes. So, I mean, we'll just try our best to keep you quiet for a bit, I think.
Yeah, and I think you rightly mentioned the occasion as well. The weather's going to be good. It's a 5:30 kickoff, so fans are going to have a good day out in the booze as before as well. So, I'm expecting. Look, that stadium's awful. It's awful for a home fan just as much as an away fan. We understand, and we know that. And to generate an atmosphere in there is tough. But I'm expecting something Saturday. A new manager, excitement. It waned towards the end of last season. It was just people were drained of it, and so hopefully there should be that new season buzz. A lot of new players buzz, and it should be an exciting atmosphere. And then hopefully we can thrive off that, and maybe just catch you by surprise. I don't know. Anything could happen. As you said, both teams could nullify each other, and it could be a bore fest, or it could be end to end. It could be anything, but we will see. Mike, thanks for joining us. Hope you are well. Phil Wright says, we played Olympiacos in the group stage. Yeah, because they went from the Champions League qualifiers, they came down into our Europa League group, then they went down into the conference. I'm like, it's rewarding losing. Like, why would you want to do that? I'm glad that they've scrapped that now with the new format, because that annoyed me. Because we used to have all these big boys drop down, and when we were in the Europa League for a couple of years, all the big boys would drop down for the Champions League. And you're like, hang on, hold your horses. What's going on here? Like, I used to hate it, but anyway, that is that. So let's go on to a prediction then, Luke. This is really tough. It's the toughest prediction you'll make all season, because nobody's got a flipping clue. But I'm gonna ask you anyway. What do you reckon?
I think 2-2. I think I could probably see us going ahead. I think you guys might come back at us, and then I think we might just nick the draw at the end. John Duran might nick the draw at the end. And then
do the irons.
Well, yeah, it's probably got to Lopetegui and do the irons. That's what he's like. But yeah, I think it'll be a bit chaotic. I think you guys, I don't think you're going to start all those defenders at the back. I think you're going to ease them in a little bit. I mean, we've signed Maatsen left back, and I don't expect him to start. And I think he'll probably want a little bit of continuity of probably what he's had in pre-season. So, but yeah, I think while you're learning, that there probably will be mistakes. But what I probably would say is that we started playing out from the back under Emery, and we made mistakes. And, you know, we literally like knock it across the goal line, and Villa fans would be going, just boot it, get it forward, get rid of it. What are we doing? And we made mistakes, we conceded goals, and Emery was like, this is on me. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep playing this way. And you've got to just sort of like trust it and go with it, because you'll get the rewards in the end. So, yeah, I'll go 2-2.
Yeah, I think that's quite good. And a couple of people have agreed with you in the chat as well. 2-2, I agree. Would be an exciting game with that score. And it most certainly would be. I genuinely don't know. There's been, especially at our place, there's been a couple of 1-1 draws over the last few years between these two sides. It's been a little bit more high scoring when we've gone to Villa Park. But I'm gonna say 1-1, and I'm gonna say a draw. I just genuinely don't know what's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a learning experience for everybody. And like West Ham fans are sort of getting up and getting excited about it on social media, and nobody's really discussing what they're expecting because we don't know. We've had Moyes for 4.5 years sending us to sleep, and now hopefully we're going to be woken up again to a little bit more exciting.
Scott 0-0 written all over it, hasn't it?
Hasn't it, really? Yeah. Both teams in midfield just shut each other down. Everybody's predicting goals. 2-1, 3-2, Desmond, 4-2 West Ham. And I mean, there's always a few out there scorelines on the opening day, isn't there? There's always a few where you look at it and go, oh, blimey, like what's happened there, sort of thing. And this is a game that it could happen. Jake looks 6 foot tall. I can guarantee I'm not 6 foot tall. I'm nowhere near it. But I'll take that as a compliment. 4-2 West Ham, I would love to see that. So would I. But yeah, overall, anything could happen. And you raised the point about who will start, and Zuma's not going to start defensively. He's gone somewhere. He's signing somewhere. So left, we've got Agurd and Mavropanos, who aren't entirely trusted by anybody at the football club, I don't think. And you've got the two new centre-halves, Tabido and Kilman. I think he'll start Kilman, I'm going to be honest. But Tabido, I don't know. Wan-Bissaka, I don't know. I'd expect Alvarez in midfield. But who's going to partner him in there? Again, I don't know. Kudus, Bowen and Paqueta will start. Will Fulkrug start as well? I mean, we will be able to sort of assess and guess when that lineup comes out, whether it's Antonio up front, whether it's Fulkrug up front, whether it's neither of them and Bowen up front. It will give us a general idea of what to expect in that sense. But we've got so many options, both defensively and attackingly. Anything could happen, quite frankly. And if Unai Emery has got an idea of what we're going to do, he's doing better than all the West Ham fans. He's probably doing better than Lopetegui, because he said in his presser today that even he doesn't know what he's going to do yet. He basically said, I don't know what the lineup's going to be yet. I'm not entirely sure. So if he doesn't know, then we haven't got a clue. But Luke, give us some final thoughts regarding Villa and what we can expect. Are you in a similar, but obviously you're going to know a little bit more. You've had Emery for a while, so you know what to expect a little bit more. But from the West Ham side of it, it's stepping into the unknown. Does that fear you at all? You can say no.
Obviously a little bit. Because we don't really know what to expect. I mean, Lopetegui's got the upper hand on Emery. He's beaten 3 times. There's been 3 draws, and Emery's only beat Lopetegui's side once. So that's 7 games, and Emery's only won 1 against Lopetegui. So I think both of them will know a lot about each other. I think they will obviously know how their formation may be, and what they're each trying to do. But I think Villa, like I say, we'll try and keep the ball possession. We've got a couple of different ways that we can play, either possession, or we can go a little bit more direct as well. So I did see in pre-season you've sort of adopted a little bit of a high line. So if if you do that in the game, then you're probably going to see us go a bit longer with Watkins and through balls, etc., to try and stretch it. So yeah, like you say, it's difficult to pinpoint what's actually going to happen. And I think for Villa, whether we go Maatsen or Digne, whether we go, because Watkins hasn't played a game yet in pre-season. So does Watkins play? Does Duran play? There's a lot of unknowns for both of us. So, but I do think that the start of the season, it's probably going to be a little bit slow for a lot of teams, because I think because we've had players coming back from the Euros, I imagine Bowen's not come back, that quick, as he's probably only played one pre-season game. We had Martinez, Duran, Watkins, and Consa. They only came back a week ago. So, do they play? Do they not? I don't know. So, I think it might be a bit of a slow start. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
There's so many factors that decide it. I'm just going to say, you said Watkins and through ball in the same sentence, and my mind has just gone back to the semi-final in Germany. I'm sure you enjoyed that one, didn't you?
Oh, amazing for him, because he 10 years ago he was playing for Exeter, and 10 years later he's scoring in the like semi-final. And I think Watkins, he's not one of these players that's sort of like big on social media. He's a family guy. He's really honest, hardworking, really humble. He's not outspoken, and you could see his expression when he scored on his face. He couldn't believe it. But I mean, I could believe he scored it because I've watched him do stuff like that, last season. But I think what it'll do for Watkins is it'll give him a sense of belonging at that level. I think because 10 years ago he was playing for Exeter, he's always sort of had to prove himself at every single stage, and whether he's worthy to be there. And I just think it was so good for him to score in that moment, because, I mean, I was on the overlap and I got told to ask a question, and it was like, who would you take, Tony or Watkins? And this was at the time of when there was that discussion of who that to pick, and Carragher and Neville didn't bat an eyelid, and they were like, Tony. And I was like, what? I was like, really? And like, they were like, yeah, like Tony's hold up, he's penalties. And I was just like, I sort of like stuck up for Watkins. And then when he scored, I was just like, back him because he's good.
I'll tell you what, though, you must have been infuriated watching Grandad Kane. He should have had his crutches out there playing like 6 games and like just limping round the place, and Watkins comes on and he does that, but that's a whole discussion for another day. I think I agree. I think Watkins will push on again this season, and if you've still got him this time next year, then you've done blooming well. And I think we're in a similar boat. We are with Bowen as well. He's club captain now and he's committed his future, but if one of the big 6 come in with 100 million, what are the owners really going to say in that sense? And I think a lot of clubs are in that similar boat, and I wish that Watkins got more game time, because us West Ham fans aren't particularly favourable towards Mr. Harry Kane for obvious reasons, but no, it was good to see him do that. But I hope he don't score Saturday. Just tell him to just lay off it a bit, because we got a few new centre halves and they don't know each other yet. So let's take some final comments. Tobido and Aaron Wan-Bissaka will hopefully start. Yeah, don't know. I'd love to see J-Lo low block. Try saying that. I'd love to see J-Lo low block Villa to a 1-0 win. Moyes ball with flair. Yeah, we've talked all about all these exciting players. Well, we haven't talked about Somerville and all these different players. And we give the ball to Alvarez. He lumps it up repeatedly to Fulkrug, who nods it off and nods it down. We play the most Brexit and lump it up football, and we win 1-0, and we're like, oh, this is Moyes ball, but just with a bit of Spanish flair. Brilliant. We've got the Villa fanning going. Desmond agreeing with you, Luke. There you go. There you go. Yeah, Moyes would probably bring in the new signings by Christmas. He's got to bed them into the, surroundings. So we wouldn't be seeing any of them if Moyes was still here till at least Christmas. I hope he starts too. Absolutely. There are changes to VAR this season. I don't really want to think about VAR because it just gets on my nerves, to be totally honest. I just hate it. But we will leave it there. Luke, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Good luck for the rest of the season after Saturday. Of course, I hope it's a good game. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess we'll speak on the reverse fixture.
We will, and that's usually a one-sided affair over the last few years. We beat you 4-1, and then you beat us 4-1. So that time around, we'll be predicting goals, and hopefully Lopetegui's still in a job, and you're, sitting around where you want to be. That's the two factors that we want, right?
Yeah, hope so.
We'll take that. Luke, thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for watching at home as well. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to West Ham Official. You can go and check Luke out at Up the Villa podcast on YouTube. They do some great Villa content over there, and you might even see a familiar face if you really want to as well. Luke, I will speak to you soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Cheers, Luke. Thanks.